Components. Now, stuff right here could be a little confusing, but also could not. So components are UI elements that can be reused across your design files. So right now we are talking about stuff like buttons, like input fields, drop downs, table columns, avatars, everything that is reusable across your design file. You want to set up as a component, because working on a master component will affect other instances. Because, like, imagine you have your master button, which is blue background and white text. You copy this one, this component for button over your designs, and then moving forward, let's say 3 months in your project, you think, oh, this blue looks very bad, I want to use green. So you only change color on your master component and it will affect every instance of this component. It saves a lot of time, and it is very useful to remember about it. There is a cool tip, and it is for developers, that in the longer run, you should aim to align your Figma components with your front-end components, and you want to collaborate with your developers actually to really take advantage of this this part of Figma. Because if you collaborate with them, they will tell you, hey, there is this UI kit available in Figma, and we use it as a framework when working with some project. And this way, you don't have to create every component. You can just copy and paste components to your file, and developers will already have code for it ready, so they don't need to reinvent the wheel. Yeah, and that's pretty cool. Naming components. So it's for very organized persons, and this should be a default tactic when working with the designs. You want to name your layers. You don't want to come back to your design file 2 months later and see element called frame 2150, because it will be like, hey, what did I do here? So you want to name your components. This top paragraph is self-explanatory. Figma uses some. Oh, where did it come from? That's pretty cool. Yeah, so we have this cool illustration that our design team prepared, and it allows you to see how the components and instances are working. So if your icon is called icon slash, if your icons are called this way, so let's say icon slash bin, icon slash arrow, icon slash sun, you will be able to quickly swap those instances on your right side panel, and this way you save your time as well. So naming your components in this way is really cool, and I don't know what else I can say about it. Yeah, so remember to slash and group your components into logical elements. And you will be all set. Exporting. Now, this is part that everyone will take benefit from, because often I got requests on Slack, hey Dom, could you help me with export of this icon or this image or this asset or whatever? So if you listen with focus, you will know everything what I know about it. So let's get into it. Export a single image. So this is very easy. You simply select your image in Figma, and then you go to export panel, which is located on the right side. Now for the export settings, for images, you want to set settings for 2x. to avoid blurry exports. I don't know what's the logic behind it and why it works this way, but you need to remember when exporting an image, you need to set 2x to avoid blurry exports. You can go even higher, 3x, 4x, depending on how big you want this picture to be. But usually 2x is enough. Now, when speaking of icons, you want to export icons as SVG files, and when exporting as SVG, you cannot change the format on this drop-down menu. It will be usually 1x, and the export is pretty decent. You don't need to change anything. You have ability to add suffix if you want your exports to be called differently without renaming all of your frames, because when exporting, usually you will export with the layer name or the frame name, depending on what you are exporting. Later, you click export, and that's on your desktop. Now, let's say there is a situation when you have 120 images to export and you don't have access to Google Drive or any assets folders or anything, and everything is located in your Figma. So at the beginning, I said there is a community tab where you can download all kind of design resources and plugins and other elements that are available on the community tab. And a big part of it are plugins, because it really expand functionality of the software. One of the plugins that is mentioned here is called Select Layers. So when you download plugin called Select Layers, you can select, for example, layers by type, and you can select images. So after selecting one image, you can right click and then select 120 images at once. And again, coming back to export window, it will look the same. You just have to set 2x and then export. And it will come down to your desktop very nicely. It is explained right here how the plugin works. So when you come back to this presentation, you can review this slide, and maybe you will be like, oh, damn, this is nice, I want to use it. Anyway, moving next. Looks like we come to the end of the presentation. I know this was very basic about functionality of Figma, but some of the stuff will really help you create better designs or start using Figma with some knowledge behind it. Like, you won't download the app and look at it and what do I need to do here? Maybe now you will be like, oh, I know what text style is. Anyway, thanks for your attention, and special thanks to the design team who created this awesome presentation and helped me